We have a trade alert, Bears fans. Chicago has added Seahawks pass rusher Darrell Taylor. We're going to break this all down on today's show, what it means, plus some potential roster implications following this move. So jam-packed show. Stick with us here. This is why you subscribe to the channel. When the Bears make moves, we break it down with the video. If they're huge moves, we go live. Decided to just do a regular video on this one, but hit that sub button, turn on notifications. That way you never miss an episode here on Chicago Bears. Now, I want to give Tom Pelissero the credit. He had the note first that the Seahawks are sending, he labeled it, linebacker Darrell Taylor. He'll play defensive end here for a 2025 sixth-round pick. And look, we know that the Bears have been active in trade discussions. They tried to get Matt Judon, and now they add Darrell Taylor. And I think this is a pretty solid addition. In 3 seasons, he has 21.5 sacks, averages about 7 per year, including 9.5 in 2022, which was tied for the most on Seattle's team. So not only has he been productive at times, he's been their top pass rusher in recent years. So certainly like that as well. You kind of look at his background and how he's gotten to this point. 2020 second-round pick. Actually missed his whole rookie year due to injuries, but has been healthy the last 3 seasons. 6'4", 255, brings good size. Can certainly play as a 4-3 defensive end. Otherwise, the Bears wouldn't have made this move. He does not play the run much. This is kind of a, hey, go get the quarterback type of guy. Maybe with Flus's coaching and their kind of hits principles mentality, he can become serviceable as a run defender, but I don't think he's a 3-down player. Doesn't mean he's not a starter. More on that later. And he re-signed with Seattle on a 1-year, $3.14 million deal. That's his cap hit. So Bears had 21, 22 million in cap space, still have 18, 19. So certainly not a move that's going to, hurt you salary cap wise right now or in the long term. You got him for 1 year this year. If he performs well, maybe he sticks around. If not, no harm, no foul. You only gave up a 6th-round pick. Grade the trade by Ryan Poles to acquire Darrell Taylor for that 6th-round pick. A, B, C, D, or F. Pin comment on today's show. After this YouTube ad break, I'll give my grade, and we'll have more discussion. I think it's a solid A-. Now, again, I don't think this is a guy that's going to come in here and save the day by any means, but I think he's kind of a, average level starter as a pass rusher if he starts, or a very good kind of number 3 pass rusher type. I think that's kind of what you're looking at here. I kind of have him in there, and we'll kind of expand on this discussion, as the starter opposite of Montez Sweat. You notice I have DeMarcus Walker behind Gervon Dexter. I think that could be a potential implication here as well. So regardless, maybe Walker starts at defensive end and, Taylor checks in on pass rush downs and Walker kicks inside. We'll have to wait and see. But I'll say this. I think the Bears all of a sudden now have some intriguing depth at defensive end. Obviously, Montez Sweat is your star. Darrell Taylor's a proven pass rusher. Austin Booker had a hell of a preseason. DeMarcus Walker can obviously play at defensive end as well. What happens with Daniel Hardy and some of these other guys, we'll have to wait and see. But it's like any other position group. If you're thin, when you add a piece that can actually play, all of a sudden, room looks a lot better. It's kind of funny how that works. So I like this addition, A- move, and I'm fascinated to see what the implications are following this, which is what we're going to get into next here on Chicago Bears Now. How does Taylor fit in? What are some of the roster repercussions of this move? We'll dive into that coming up here in just a moment. But do have to give our sponsors some love first. Shout out to PrizePicks for being back as a sponsor here on Bears Now. Football is here, and PrizePicks is back on the channel. The best daily fantasy sports app out there is PrizePicks, and you should create an account today. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS to get a deposit match up to $100 when you sign up. The way it works is simple. 2 to 6 player entries. Choose more, choose less on the stat projections available. For example, I already got a week 1 entry fired off. Caleb Williams, more on his passing yards. I got Tyreek Hill, more on his receiving yards. The Dolphins usually come out firing in September, so like that play there. $10 to win 30 on that entry, a little 2-player entry that gets 3 extra money. If you hit, get started with PrizePicks, prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS. Plus, with that code. One-time offer only. You'll get a $50 bonus after your first $5 play. Even if you don't hit it, you're still going to get that bonus. What a great deal. Check it out, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use the code CLNS. All right, let's now shift to some of the potential roster implications after the Bears have traded for veteran pass rusher Darrell Taylor. I say veteran, he's only 27. Number one, and we kind of alluded to this, is DeMarcus Walker going to be kicking inside even more? You know, when the Bears signed DeMarcus Walker, and I kind of did some background and research on him from his time in Tennessee, he was a much more productive pass rusher as a 3-tech, as an interior guy. And I think you're going to see more of that. Why? Well, Taylor's a guy that can start if you need him to. You have more depth at defensive end now than you do at defensive tackle. I think that could be the main reason. Matt Eberflus flat out admitted last night that he's concerned about the depth at defensive tackle, so Walker can kick in there more. I don't think he's a full-time defensive tackle. I think I've said it for a year and a half now. He's a perfect fifth defensive lineman in a 4-3 scheme because he can play edge, he can kick inside. Ideally, he's not a starter, but he's like your top rotation guy. We'll see if that's the case. I could still see a scenario where he starts and then kicks inside on pass downs, but I do think you'll see his snap share probably shift a little bit more to playing inside than he did last season. Number two, does Darrell Taylor start? Mentioned it earlier. I could certainly see that scenario playing out. I have him penciled in as a starter there, and I don't think it really matters because outside of Montez Sweat, who obviously is still going to rotate out sometimes, I think you're going to see a lot of rotating guys, really all across the defensive line, but especially at that number 2 defensive end spot. I expect Austin Booker to have a role. I expect DeMarcus Walker to play some at defensive end. Darrell Taylor's going to get in there. Whoever else makes this roster as an edge will get an opportunity as well. So I think you're going to see those guys rotate quite a bit. So whether Taylor starts, whether maybe Booker starts, does DeMarcus Walker start at edge and then kick inside on, clear passing downs? That's certainly a possibility as well. The point is you've gotten a proven pass rusher in the building, which is nice as my alarm goes off here. But I like the addition of Darrell Taylor, and whether he starts or not, I expect him to play quite a bit. What do you guys think? Is Darrell Taylor a starter? Type S for start, B for backup. And just so you guys know, sometimes he started in Seattle, sometimes he didn't. I think the reason he never became a full-time starter is he doesn't defend the run that well. So that obviously is going to play a role as well. Number 3. Is this bad news for Daniel Hardy and Dominique Robinson? 2 guys who enter, roster cutdown day firmly on the bubble. Hardy certainly had the better preseason. Dominique Robinson's a guy that's been here for a couple of years. They drafted him in Ryan Pohl's first draft. I think I feel pretty comfortable saying this. I think at least one of these guys gets cut now. That was probably already going to be the case, but I think at least one gets cut now. The question is, does 2 get cut? Because don't forget about Jacob Martin. That's a guy who was pretty safe, I think, to make this roster before getting injured. Now, I don't know what his injury status is right now. Could he be a short-term IR type of guy that returns in week 5 or whatever the case may be? We'll see. But between Dom Rob and Daniel Hardy, I think one guy is probably gone. And I'd rather keep Hardy, but I do wonder if trading for a proven player like Taylor, do they keep Robinson's and have him stick around? It certainly wouldn't surprise me. All right, there you have it. Darrell Taylor, your newest Chicago Bear, and I think you'll see some more, roster shuffling, potentially another trade. Certainly after cutdown day, the Bears are going to be active on the defensive tackle market. That's already been reported and basically confirmed by Matt Eberflus, so we'll keep you guys locked in for that. My name is Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. More to come. Stay tuned.